Hello again, and welcome to our Sunday news show. We got some new game announcements, some remaster announcements, updates on game sales figures, God of War rumors, Assassin's Creed leaking onto a porn site, Battlefield and Monster Hunter Wilds beta info, GTA 6 release date info, and much, much more. I am VBerg. Thank you so much for watching. If you could take a moment to like and subscribe, it would really help us out. After the video, let us know what you thought of these stories down in the comments, but without further ado, let's hop into the gaming news from last week. Meier's Civilization 7 has announced for the first time the game will be hopping to VR. That's right, a VR version will be coming later in the spring of 2025. This is a really interesting direction for the turn-based strategy series to be taking. Console versions have become the norm now, so I guess the last frontier they need to conquer is VR. I'm curious to see what the reception is going to be like to this in a VR title. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be dropping for the MetaQuest 3 and the 3DS VR platforms later this spring. Star Overdrive has received an official release date of April 10th. This one's coming out for the Switch. It's an action-adventure open-world game where you ride around on a hoverboard trying to answer a distress signal. I don't know why, but this game just looks and sounds really cool. I don't know, I think it's like the closest we'll ever get to a Silver Surfer game, and I'll take it. So, yeah. Again, this one's going to be dropping on the Switch on April 10th. Neon Inferno was confirmed for a Q3 release this year. You'll play as either Angelo or Mariana as you're fighting a crime family in a cyberpunk New York City setting in 2055. This looks kind of sweet. The developers have said they've taken inspiration from Contra and Wild Guns, and it shows. So we'll be sure to let you know once this one formally launches. Capcom has announced a remaster of Onimusha 2, which is a fantastic series. So not only are we getting a new Onimusha game next year, we're going to get the second one finally remastered. I think it's been like 7 years since the first one was remastered. Quite a long wait, but anyway, yeah, this is a great hack and slash series. I'm really happy to see it making a comeback for a new generation. And speaking of Onimusha, VGP is taking pre-orders right now on reprints of not only Onimusha Warlords, but Okami as well for the PS4. These games are not expected to be printed and shipped until sometime in March, but if you're looking for a physical copy, make sure you check that out. We actually missed this one back in late January, but Tokyo Xtreme Racer has made a bit of a comeback. It's still in early access at the moment, but it is on Steam. And the developers have said they're taking that route because it has been nearly 20 years since the racing series had a new entry, and they want to collect feedback from the fans and make sure that they were doing it right, make sure they were making what everyone wanted. And that's awesome. I do think that the early access model, when properly utilized, can have really great effects like that. I mean, look at Larian with the success of Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2. Both of these games were in early access for quite some time. They built on it, they improved on what the fans expected, and they had great results. So yeah, it's really awesome to see this series making a comeback. I used to play the heck out of some Tokyo Xtreme Racer. Really fun. But so once this one comes out into full release, we'll be sure to let you know. Alright, and this one caught our eye because this might be the most Castlevania-ish Metroidvania that has ever vania'd. This is Chronicles of the Wolf, and it straight up looks like it came out, the same day as Symphony of the Night. It's awesome. You'll be taking on the role of a man named Mateus who is hunting down the Beast of Gévaudan, which is a famous story in French folklore about a vicious wolf beast that was hunting people in the countryside and killing and slaughtering them. And this is even actually going to have an appearance by Bloodless from Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. It's confirmed to be coming sometime this summer for the PlayStations, Xboxes, Switch, and PC. We'll cover it in our weekly releases once it finally comes out. Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires Mythology have been confirmed to be coming to the PS5, which is pretty funny because actually the same day as our 15 Xbox games we want to see on the PS5 video came out, a couple hours later, they confirmed that the Age of Empires games and Age of Mythology would be hitting the PlayStation 5. So either we've got magic powers, or it was just a really obvious speculation. Probably that one. So yeah. But those games will be coming later in the year. We'll of course let you know once it launches in our weekly release series. But in addition to that, they did announce that the Age of Mythology games will be getting a new expansion called the Immortal Pillars. It's going to be based on Chinese folklore and myths, and that sounds really freaking cool. So yeah. We'll link the video down below so you can check it out and see if any of our other predictions and wishes come true eventually about Xbox games coming to PS5. It's been confirmed that a new Battlefield game is in development. It sounds like 4 separate studios from around the globe are going to be coming together to make a new Battlefield game. And they are going to be doing a player sign-up for what sounds like an extended alpha phase, or something between an alpha and a beta. I'm not really sure, but yeah, they're looking to get player feedback and ensure that they nail it this time. Battlefield's had a couple rough launches for the last few games, and some of them haven't recovered from those launches. So yeah, it sounds like they just want to make sure they nail it this time, using something akin to an early access type model. It's kind of weird to have a AAA company doing this, but yeah, I don't know. So if that's something you want to check out, check the description. We'll have a link to that if you're interested in signing up. Alright, and now on to updated game sales figures. Publisher Bandai Namco has revealed that the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero game, the latest Dragon Ball fighting game, has sold 5 million units already. This has made it the fastest selling Dragon Ball game of all time and the 3rd best selling game in Bandai Namco's catalog. It's sitting right behind Dark Souls 3 and probably well behind Elden Ring, but yeah. Congratulations though to developers Spike Chunsoft. Okay, this next one's sales figure update will have a small rant attached to it, so yeah, I'm gonna warn you in case you're not interested in that, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has first off hit a Steam concurrent player count of over 250,000 players. Super awesome. The game has sold 1 million copies in its first day, and developers have announced that within 48 hours of release, they made back the game's budget. In 48 hours. So congratulations to Warhorse Studios. We think this is a well-deserved success. But segue into the rant part now, and it raises some questions about other games. You know, we're not going to pretend that game development isn't super complicated, but you have to ask yourself, if a AA studio like Warhorse here is able to recoup its development costs in 48 hours, based on a million plus units sold, you have to ask yourself, what on earth is going on with the bloated budgets at some of these AAA studios? You know, we heard that Spider-Man 2 underperformed. They sold 15 million units was the last number they put out. Final Fantasy 16 underperformed. 3.5 million units was the last sales info we got. And in Dragon Age, the Veilguard apparently failed horribly at 1.5 million units. You know, so like, what's going on in the development cycle of some of these games that they need to hit these just ludicrously large numbers, sometimes 10 times the sales of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and they can still be considered a failure? I mean, okay, obviously there's a difference between recouping your costs and then your expected profit margin and units sold. You know, we're not dumb. We hope we're not dumb, but it really does beggar the question: how have the budgets on some of these AAA titles just gotten so out of control? Is graphical fidelity pushing these budgets too far? Has graphical fidelity gotten too absurd? Is it scope creep? Are these games too ambitious? Is it just terrible mismanagement? Is it executives who are more concerned with their golfing schedule than looking at numbers and schedules? You know, I don't know. I'm not sure what happens here, but it just makes you think that gaming is being primed right now. This is something I really feel it could happen. Gaming is getting primed for a couple of the big AA studios to like band together, or a couple of the big multi-successful indie developers to band together and make a new publishing studio that would probably be more friendly to their developers and game series, and hit it big and just phase out some of these companies like EA and Ubisoft with their out of control spending, their ludicrous budgets, and their absurd expectations. it really feels like that's something that could happen. You know, younger gamers may not remember, but we didn't used to have these gigantic publishers. We had small development studios that sometimes formed a publishing company. And yeah, years down the road, many of those developers are long gone, taken over, their company's taken over by people in suits who don't give a crap about nothing. And that's how we ended up with things like EA and modern Activision. You know, that's how these came about. But anyway, rant over. You know, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments. Do you think it's time for new publishing companies to rise up? Do you think AAA just needs to get it all under control? What's the answer? You know, let me know what you think. All right, and out of our game sales updates and into some general news. As many people know, the PlayStation Store was down for about a 24-hour period. Sony hasn't really been too forthcoming about what transpired. This is the first time anything's happened like this since 2011. So now, of course, everyone's going to be wondering, was there a security breach? Did hackers make their way into the PlayStation Network? Is my credit card compromised or my password's compromised, you know? And thus far, Sony claims it was operational issues. You know, whatever exactly that means, I don't know. They plan to extend to everyone who has a PlayStation Plus service an extra 5 days as compensation as of the time of this recording. Though not 100% of services have been restored, but they have been slowly bringing them back up. So, yeah, hopefully it's just operational issues, as they say. Speaking of Sony and the PlayStation Store, they accidentally revealed the release date of Metal Gear Solid 3, and Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And that is August 28th of this year. So yeah, oopsie, cat's out of the bag. Now, there was probably a planned announcement from Konami at some point in time, but due to the accidental update on the PlayStation Store, hey, thinking about maybe that's what broke the PlayStation Network. Everyone was bombarding the Metal Gear Solid page, trying to find out when the darn game was coming out, but yeah. Since it was already revealed on accident, Konami just went ahead and tossed out a new trailer, which actually goes on to tease the Ape Escape minigame elements from the original version, which seems to indicate the apes are returning in the remake. And yeah, I think everyone just assumed that this was going to not be a thing, but it turns out it's going to be present. So yeah, maybe we'll hear more info about that in Sony's upcoming State of Play coming later this week. Okay, now this one is just a fun little story. So on Good Old Games, or GOG, or whatever you want to call them, apparently the Digimon fan base has banded together and been sharing tons of stories and perspectives about the game, the Digimon World games, and all sorts of stuff to catapult the Digimon World early titles to the top of the list of games they want to see preserved by GOG. Now, if you're not familiar with Good Old Games, they're a digital games platform with a focus on games preservation. They get older games up and running again by coordinating with the game's license holders and owners, and then GOG will release new versions of those games that are DRM free. And right now they have going a Dream List program where you can nominate and vote on games that you'd like to see them try and get brought back, again, DRM free. So the Digimon fan base has been rallying onto the website, trying to get all their games catapulted to the top. Awesome for them. Go check out GOG's site, check out the Dream List. There's all sorts of great stuff on there. Old Silent Hill games, old Warcraft games. People are trying to get all the Breath of Fire games on there. Just tons and tons and tons of other great stuff. So yeah, they've all fallen by the wayside and been forgotten, and people are trying to get them preserved. So yeah, if there's anything you're looking to get preserved, or any of these games you want to vote on, hop over to GOG's site. We'll link it down below in the comments, and go vote on games to help get them preserved. Steam has added a notification now to early access titles, indicating how long it's been since they've received an update. And I think this is a super smart, consumer-friendly move from Valve. I mean, they almost always have pretty consumer-friendly moves, and anyone who knows me knows I'm not the biggest fan of digital games. Obviously, in the world of PC, though, that's just how it is. I love Valve. They're consumer friendly within the digital space, in my opinion. But okay, getting derailed. They've added again an update that allows consumers to make more educated decisions. You know, you can see these early access titles, you can see how long it's been since they received an update. You know, if you look at an early access title now and you see that it was updated a month ago, it's like, okay, it's probably no biggie that you are planning to spend money on this. Obviously, it has an active community, active developers, but then you go to a game now and you see it's been 6 years since it had an update. Well, chances are pretty good the developers have already abandoned that game. It's dead. No reason to waste your money unless it's just something that really appeals to you. You know, and I just think that this gives consumers information, and the more information consumers have, the better decisions they can make with their hard-earned money. And I always am going to highlight things like this because us consumers always deserve to know what we're buying. Alright, the second Monster Hunter Wilds beta is ending later tonight, Sunday the 9th of February. But if you missed out on it, don't worry. It will be returning from the 13th to the 16th of February so that you too can have the opportunity to have your ass handed to you by Wild's flagship monster, Arkfeld. Again, if you missed out on it, the open beta will be returning from the 13th to the 16th of February. It'll be on the PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and Steam. Alright, Ted Price, the former CEO of Insomniac Games, recently retired. And since then, he's appeared on an interview for the Kinda Funny game show here on YouTube. And he was doing an interview, and he was asked, what was a game you wanted greenlit that was never approved? And it turns out Ted revealed that they had pitched a Resistance 4 to Sony, who rejected the pitch, which I think is an absolute tragedy. I love the Resistance series, and it's really strange too, given that Sony has this complete lack of first-person shooter titles. You know, they had to go out and buy Bungie to get one. They sunk like 200, 400 million, whatever that figure was, into the disaster that was Concord, trying to have a new first-person shooter series. And then here we find out they told Insomniac, nah, you're just going to make licensed superhero games from now on, none of your original stuff. And yeah, it's like, what? I don't know. Now, we don't exactly know when they rejected the pitch, but it's just strange. This is a genre that their catalog doesn't have much of. You'd think that they would have been kind of fiending to have something like this in development, so weird. Alright, we have got multiple rumors regarding God of War, including one that comes from Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming. He has claimed that a prequel to the God of War series will be announced. It will be set in Greece, and it will be focusing on a young Kratos and his relationship with his father, which could be pretty interesting. But then we have a competing rumor about God of War, or I don't know, maybe they're related, I'm not sure. But this one claims that Kratos will be heading to Egypt and killing their gods now, for whatever reason. And of course, there's still the swirling rumors of a remaster or remake of the original God of War trilogy. So it will be really interesting to see which, if any of these ever actually get formally announced, or, you know, maybe the Egypt one and the prequel one are sort of like the same game and people are only learning about bits and pieces of it and these rumors get out. You know, who knows? But yeah, well, certainly interesting to see. Alright, this one's another of our kind of funny stories. Over on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit on Reddit, someone noticed that a hentai porn site had the Art of Assassin's Creed Shadows art book on. And yeah, so hundreds of pages, including key art and story spoilers from the game, were leaked onto this porn sharing site. Now, obviously, Ubisoft reached out. They've already had all this removed from the website, so don't bother going there to check for the art unless you were going there for another reason. But yeah, it makes you wonder, like, how the heck did this end up in the hands of either an Ubisoft employee or whoever they contracted to publish and print the book? But then an early copy of it leaked onto a porn site? Like, how did that happen? Anyone's guess. So, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has stated they are committed to releasing Grand Theft Auto 6, but that, you know, slippage is always a possibility, but they're feeling really good about a fall 2025 release for Rockstar's upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6. And yeah, with so many games rearranging their release schedules just to avoid this behemoth of a title, because they all know that if they release the same day or week as GTA, hell, even the same month, some of them are just going to get totally forgotten about, I think that's why we've had such a busy quarter one so far. A lot of big titles: Assassin's Creed Shadows, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, Doom coming out, early to mid quarter two. Everyone's trying to avoid Grand Theft Auto, and everyone is dying for info on when it's going to happen. So yeah, obviously we'll let you know as soon as we hear any official word. But yeah, it's going to be the biggest title of the year, no doubt. So. All right, and according to Jason Schreier and his report for Bloomberg, the Warner Brothers gaming division is struggling. Monolith Productions' upcoming Wonder Woman title is having all sorts of difficulties. The game has been rebooted multiple times. It switched directors at one point. Apparently it had the Nemesis system from the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games, and then they abandoned that system. I don't know, it just sounds like this game is just trapped in absolute development hell, and that's just a real shame. I'd love to play a Wonder Woman game. I think a lot of Wonder Woman fans would love an opportunity to play a Wonder Woman game. Has Wonder Woman ever had her own standalone game? I don't think so. If she has, it's been a very long time. She mostly just appears in other games. And after the crap that was, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, yeah. Speaking of live service games failing, another Warner Brothers title, live service title, the free-to-play fighter Multiversus, is going to be shutting down in May due to underperforming. I hear that word a lot, but yeah. And then in the only good news, it seems, regarding Warner Brothers gaming division is there are rumors that a new Batman game is in development, potentially at Rocksteady. This is going to be a new single-player title, and yeah, that sounds great. But the only thing, you have to take into consideration that anything that's being announced or even beginning to leak of an announcement coming down the road right now means that game has about 4 to 7 years of development that's going to be going on. So if they're just now gearing up to announce a Batman game coming down the line, then there's a good chance that game isn't actually going to be arriving until 2030. And yeah, so as awesome as a new Batman game sounds, when you put it like that, it's actually kind of depressing. Okay, and I promised I wasn't going to rant, about BioWare anymore in one of our recent videos. And surprise! No, actually, I'm not ranting about BioWare. It's tangentially related, but I'm going to be ranting about EA. EA's CEO, Andrew Wilson, has the most bizarro world take probably out there you'll ever hear regarding the failure of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Was it due to the game's writing? No. Was it due to the shift in tones from the previous iterations of the series? No. Was it due to the lack of roleplay options that the fan base was accustomed to? No. It turns out the reason Andrew Wilson believes that Dragon Age: The Veilguard failed was that because it lacked shared world elements that provide deeper engagement to players alongside a high-quality narrative. AKA, he's saying the game lacked live service elements. That's right. EA has learned so little from the failure of Dragon Age, they believe that the beloved single-player title, known for its high replayability due to branching story paths, dialogue decisions, multiple endings, several different classes, they think that game failed because it didn't incorporate enough live service elements or even just be an outright live service game. And I don't even know what to say to this. I don't know how you get the people at some of these publishing companies to understand when you deviate too far from the core identity of a series, you alienate its fan base. It has nothing to do with a lack of live service elements. In fact, a live service Dragon Age title probably would have failed even harder because they probably would have pumped even more money into that. And like 5, maybe 10% of the Dragon Age fan base would have had any interest in that? I mean, if it even had succeeded, it would have just become created more division within the Dragon Age fan base, which is already notoriously divided amongst themselves about the games. But I just, I think that Fortnite, I've stated this before, it really broke people's brains. And, this statements like this just back that up. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any of these stories funny and or interesting or mildly depressing, be sure to let us know down in the comments. And as always, from all of us here at Game Conclave, thank you so much for watching.